Hey, I'm John Coley with Lake Martin Voice Realty. I'm an agent here at Lake Martin, Alabama, and wanted to go over some market report data for you for May of 2020. But before I say this, I do want to say, if you're about to click off, don't. If you're a seller or if you own property here at Lake Martin, now is probably the best time I've seen in 10 years to sell it. I know agents say that kind of stuff all the time, and it kind of, you get tired of hearing it. But anyway, I'm going to lay out the case a little bit later, but that's why. So anyway, it's kind of been raining around Lake Martin the past couple of days. So I figured it'd be a pretty good day to do this, at the risk of waking up our family dog, which may circle around here in a minute and get in the screen. But anyway, here we go. The big story really at Lake Martin is the lack of inventory, and sales are up. A lot of people have asked me, okay, I'm doing this. These are May sales, by the way, and I'm shooting this in June. And so obviously we've been in the Corona periods for like 3 months now. So how has that affected Lake Martin real estate? Well, we were already in a seller's market, and what I tell people is the coronavirus scare just threw gas on the fire. So it went from a seller's market to a hyper seller's market. So let me lay out the reasons and kind of show you what I mean by that. First of all, just to look at sales, I'm trying to do one of those fancy graphs where you got sales on this side, inventory on that side, because I want to contrast the two and show you what's going on. All right, so first of all, important thing to note is I'm going to compare this year, 2020, to last year, 2019. And 2019 was the best year of waterfront home sales ever on Lake Martin. So the number one year is what we're comparing to, okay? And all right, so what's going on this year? So this is 19, all right, and this is 2020. In 2019, year to date, the entire lake had sold through the end of May 122 homes. And these are all agents, all brokerages, all 260 of us, right? Or I guess that's how many, but anyway, this is the whole lake, all right? And I know that's a small lake. So anyway, in 2019, we sold 122. This year so far, we've sold 130. That's an increase of 7%, okay? Which, by itself, that wouldn't really maybe be super notable because we're only through 5 months of the year. But what is really crazy is if you look at the inventory. All right, last year, again, the number one year of sales record, when we snapshot it in May, we had 317 waterfront residences for sale. What do we have this year? 212. So inventory is down. That's down like 33%. We're down a third. And this is a tremendous, obviously a huge, what we would say in accounting, a material amount of sales or inventory decrease. Sales have increased 7% to 130. So this area in here is the big bottleneck that I'm seeing. And if you ask any agent or anybody that's, drives past Lake Martin, they probably can tell you the same thing, is that these past 3 months, the bottleneck, the difference in quantity demanded and supply out there is huge, a decrease of 30. So we had a 40% swing between demand and inventory. And when I say inventory, I mean homes for sale. So it doesn't take a genius to figure out when you have a 40% swing year to year and you're working off the best year ever, it really feels constricted. And it kind of busts the Corona myth. I've had a lot of buyers that call me. They say, well, there must be a lot of deals out there right now, right? Because the Corona scare and everybody's, panicking and stuff. I mean, maybe they'll panic next week, but they haven't for the past 3 months. If you go back and check my prior market reports, nobody's panicking at Lake Martin. In fact, it's just the opposite. Sellers, not as many sellers are putting their home on the market. They're hanging on to what they have. There's more buyers in the market. And a classic bottleneck right here that is putting a lot of pressure on prices, as we're going to see a little bit later. Here's some more perspective in case you think, well, John, you're just cherry picking. Our 5-year average of May sales is about 36 homes. And in the month of May this year, it was 38 homes. So we're actually 5% above our 5-year average monthly. And then looking at our homes for sale, our 5-year average is about 285 homes. So not only are we down from last year, we're down from our 5-year average 26%. So any way you slice it, this huge bottleneck right here is creating a lot of pricing pressure and just angst, as we'll see later. All right, another thing I wanted to look at was the percent of sales in each price category. This is always fun to look at because everybody wonders, okay, what are things selling for and all that. So, and I ran these numbers last July, and they end up being pretty interesting and pretty comparable. So let's take a look. What I try to do is break down general price ranges for waterfront homes, condos, residences. Okay, so $0 to $199,000. That there were 4 sales there. That's about 3% of the market. 200 to 350. There were 24 sales here, or about 18% of the market. 351 to 500, as I've said in the past, you asked John Coley of a year ago, I would have said this is the biggest band. You know, that's about the average, what a waterfront house costs. 28 have sold in this price category, or about 22% of the market. Now, new John, if you ask him what's the average price, I say 500 to 750, because as we'll see this year, 30 so far, these are year-to-date numbers, year-to-date through the end of May, 37 homes have sold, and that's 28% of the market, and that's the same as in 2019 when I looked at it. So that trend is holding. $750,000 to $1 million. We've had 13 sales so far this year, constituting 10% of the market. $1 million to $1.25 million. We've had 7 sales, about 5% of the market. And then interestingly to me, this is ticked up right here. $1.25 million and over, we've had a greater number of sales than we did comparable to last year about this time. There were 17 sales, or about 13% of the market. So again, if you ask me, hey, what's the average home sale on Lake Martin? I'm going to tell you 500 to 750. If they say, hey, what's an average condo sell for? I'm going to say it's going to be 350 and below, because if you look at these 2 price categories, chances are they're going to be condos if they're residences. But anyway, interesting to note that the trends have held. All right, so what does this do to lots? I think this is kind of another, along with the extreme just desert of homes for sale, I think lot sales are another interesting trend. And so I tried to do another fancy graph here. Sales on this side in blue, and inventory is going to be in red. So what's happening with lot sales? All right, so far, well, not so far, but in the month of May, there were 9 lot sales. Compare that to, excuse me, that's in 19. I'm already trying to confuse you. And there were 9 in 19. There were 4 this year. So the month of May is down. What about year-to-date sales? Year-to-date last year, we had 24 sales. This year, so far, year-to-date, we have 18 lot sales. So year-to-date, lot sales are down 25%. Last year, for the 2 of you that probably watched my videos, last year was the worst lot year, how am I going to say that? The worst sales year for lots since 2012, in 8 years. So last year wasn't good for lot sales at all. This year we're already down from there. Okay, so what is inventory? So is it an inventory thing, John? I always say, never look at sales without inventory. Never look at inventory without sales. It's peanut butter and jelly. All right, it goes together. So inventory, this time last year we had 124 lots for sale. This year we have 69 lots for sale. That is a decrease of 45%. Okay, so you go, wait a minute. All right, that's your difference right there. It's inventory. We have a fewer number. Not really. This is a kind of a funny snapshot, because there's one neighborhood called Kennebec that's not on the market in the May numbers. That's going to be on the market in June numbers, and they've been for sale back then. So that's going to be about 28 lots that are going to be dumped back on the market in June. So this is going to pop back up. So we're going to be about 25% down. So what I'm saying is that the trend from 2019 for lots is continuing. Not many lot sales, which is really, really interesting to me. I think it's because of anything, the corona effect. If you're following that logic and you say, okay, well, people, if they're sellers and they didn't want people to come in their homes, or they just wanted to quarantine at the lake, so that's fewer number of homes on the market. That doesn't really affect lots. People can walk around lots outside. And 2, it doesn't give you the instant gratification. Buying a lot right now doesn't give you the instant gratification of being able to quarantine on the lot. And you think, well, you can probably camp on the lot. Well, not really. You can't. And there's most of the lots around Lake Martin, you have covenants against pitching a tent in it, which for good or bad. So anyway, that's 2019. Again, and let's look at our 5-year trends also. The 5-year trend for inventory is about 106 lots. And that's going to be right where we are in June. So we're tracking with our 5-year average with lot inventory, but not tracking with our 5-year average in sales. All right, so what? Big deal. So what? What are our takeaways? And I'm going to try and scribble some of these just so I can kind of be doing something. Sellers. All right, if you're a seller that bought in 08 or 09, that was the, 08 and 09 is when starting in 07 was when we had the last downturn in our market, like in a lot of markets. So if you're a person that bought in 07, 08, 09, somewhere around there, and people told you, you're never going to see these values again, you're never going to, get your money out of this and all that kind of stuff, false, that's fake news. Now I would say is the time to really take a close look at it and think, because we haven't had a good sales environment like this ever. I know that's a big word, ever, but I would take a look at it. If you've been waiting to kind of say, okay, I'm ready to get out of it, I would take a look at it because this is really a really good time. Now, warnings. Usually in a hyper seller's market like this, the first thing you see a lot of is for sale by owners, because you don't need agents like me, right? You just, you put it on FSBO, you sell it, and you might. I mean, that's really true, you might. However, I am seeing some overpricings, especially in June. I'm seeing some under-marketing, and I think that it is equally deadly to under-market a property as to overprice a property. Because if you rush the job, that's my dog shaking his collar, if you as an agent or you as a seller rush something out on the market and get it out before it's ready, and it's not quite, you hadn't done your spring cleaning and you should have waited a little bit for a pretty day to take pictures, and it's not the best marketing job, and it sits on the market, buyers tend to ask, what's wrong with it? Because again, if you're in the hottest market ever and you're sitting around on the market, people tend, for hey, right or wrong, they start to ask the question, what's wrong with it? Here's another thing, another trend that I really have seen is condos. I'll say the same thing to condo owners. If you have a condo and you are thinking about selling or wondering what the value is, please give me a call, because an interesting thing I've seen with condo is a lot of times, most of the time on Lake Martin at least, condos tend to lag in demand for waterfront homes. I'm not seeing that right now. Matter of fact, I'm kind of seeing the opposite. Condos are being snapped up, and maybe it's the instant gratification that you can move right into a condo and boom, you're there. I don't know, but the fact is I've seen condos move off the market very, very quickly at very nice prices. And so that leads me to my next trend, is a trend of what I'm calling the off-water trend. And I'm just scribbling now. This is not really neat at all. I'm seeing a good trend of off-the-water homes that are starting to sell, because I think for two reasons. Number one, the on-water homes, the prices are really coming up, and so those off-water homes are starting to look really attractive, because there are some neighborhoods out there right now that have really good amenities, that have really good locations on the lake, and so you're starting to say, wow, for the price difference in on-water and off-water, I kind of like an off-water. And also for condos. The upward price pressure on condos are making them about equivalent as an off-water home. And so there are a lot of people that would say, hey, I want the convenience of a condo and the kind of the no maintenance sort of situation of a condo, but I'd like a little more privacy than I might get in a condo. And that's the off-water folks for you. And then the last little kind of so what I'd like to give is what I'm calling, and if I don't knock this thing down writing on it, agent shame. Okay, so what is agent shame? I'll show you what agent shame is, and what I mean by this. I'm getting back to our little bottleneck here. Okay, as an agent, when somebody calls you up, it is a great feeling, especially when it's like a new person you've never talked to. You're like, wow, you chose me, and you're calling me up, and you want to talk to me. And they say, okay, I'm ready to buy a home. We've been planning on it for a long time, and we're ready to take the plunge, and we're going to start looking for a Lake Martin home, and you're so excited. And they tell you their parameters, whether that's price or geography or whatever they're looking for. And then, okay, all right, let's look. And so you look out there on the MLS, and there's two houses. That's why right there. There's very little demand, a lot has sold. And so if somebody comes to me and say, "How I'm looking for this or that," and they give you the parameters, and of course everybody wants a good deal, and then you're able to tell them, okay, well there's 2 that kind of fit your parameters. Instead, they're thinking there's going to be 25, and they're going to pick. They're going to pick from. They're going to get to pick the litter, right? So that creates what I'm calling agent shame. You're kind of embarrassed because you're supposed to, be throwing all these options at them, and you can't do it because there's just nothing out there. And so, I've had a lot of buyers go, "Oh, well," and you can kind of hear the disappointment in their voice. But, it's kind of, I'm just calling it agent shame. Anyway, those are the trends. Will they continue? I don't know. Of course not. Can't guarantee any of the future. I do think that there's I don't see any signs of this slowing down. I think 2020 is going to be another strong seller's market. I'm interested to see. I still think lots are going to continue to be at least an area in which you don't have as much pressure on it. You can take your time and make a decision a little bit as a buyer. But I don't see it slowing down anytime soon. But be that as it may, again, I'm John Coley. LakeMartinVoice.com is my website. I would love to help you out. Again, sellers call me, buyers call me. There are still deals out there. I'm still closing buying sales and selling sales. So they're still happening, but you just kind of have to move a little bit faster. I'd love to help you out. Again, I'm John Coley. Thanks.